What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another fantasy football video. Probably the most requested video to date on this channel. It's part 2. If you haven't seen the first episode, please check the link in the description or just go to the channel. How to predict a top 5 running back. You guys loved that video. You very highly requested a wide receiver edition. So here we have it. This one actually took longer to make, believe it or not, than the running back edition. So if you do not mind, please hit that like button. Really appreciate the support you guys have been getting, especially recently. I mean, it's been insane, the likes and the new subscribers and views that we've had. But this video took, I don't know, maybe 15 to 17 hours to make. Long time. So please hit the like button. Really appreciate it. And if you're new here, you might as well hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. We are going to be pumping out 5 videos a week for the remainder of the summer. Basically have a schedule at this point. No more Thursday mock drafts. It's going to be Monday, mock draft Monday. Tuesdays is going to be the player outlook. You guys requested that, so that's what's coming. You saw yesterday we had the rankings video out. It's going to be quarterback rankings, then running back, then wide receiver. It might flip-flop running back, wide receiver. Don't exactly know yet. But those rankings will be out later this month. And then Fridays will be top 5, and then Thursdays will be videos like this where we talk about predicting players. We talk about different strategies involved when it comes to drafting. So definitely hit the subscribe button if you are new to this channel. Also, if you have not done so already, then please check the link in the description box down below. We finally got Pro Football Focus to give us a discount code. It took me a long time to convince them that you guys are worth it. They did not want to give me a code. They just wanted me to tell you guys to get the program. But I fought hard for you guys. So you're getting 12.5% off of Edge, 10% off of the Elite version. You're getting advanced stats, premium articles both during the off season. Right now they have a ton of articles out already. Plus during the season, you're getting their premium rankings. Like, these are experts. I am not an expert. These are fantasy football experts and just general football experts. You're getting in-season cornerback wide receiver matchups, shadow matchups. You're getting a DFS optimizer. There's so much stuff that's going to put you over the edge in your drafts. I cannot recommend it enough. So please go over there and check that out. Check it in the description box down below. And make sure to use the link. If you don't use the link, you just go to the website. You're not going to get the discount code. So use the link. Use the discount code that's in the description box down below. And just put yourself ahead of the field and win yourself a championship. Let's get into predicting a top 5 wide receiver. So, first thing I want to get out of the way. Does age matter? This was a huge question I had going into this model on IBM Watson. And the short answer is no. The longer answer is sort of. So, no, it doesn't matter in saying, are they going to be good? Yes, it matters in saying, can they be top 5? So, the model basically said the season prior, remember, age.q1 means the season prior. If there's an N1, it means the current season, or it means the future, but for this model, it means current season. So a running back or wide receiver has to be 32 years or younger in this model to be top 5, or to be on this list of predicting a top 5. However, that shouldn't put you off players who are 33 and over. This is the graph of ranking PPR points by age, given that they've scored 175, which is basically just like top 50, top 40, something around there. And the 2 outlier seasons are basically Jerry Rice at the end of this, the 39 and 40 there. Don't expect a massive jump in 39 and 40, but it's pretty even. So I'm going to say as long as they're under like 38 or 37, 36, 37, 38, I'm not worrying about it. But what does the model say? The model did say 31, remember year prior, so 32 and under. And it gave us a lot of things. And what's also interesting, this was for PPR, there was nothing that talked about touchdowns. That was not a very high predictor. Yardage and targets were there, but when I ran this model, targets were basically eliminated. It didn't matter what target you set. I mean, you could put like 200, but the predicting didn't go higher, saying high yardage totals and high targets. So first thing we got on here, and these are in no particular order, it's just all of these combined are the model. We've got catch rate of 50% or greater. We've got expected points, 167.3 and greater, and that, don't pay attention to too much. It basically just means that the year before they were given opportunity. That's essentially what it means. Target market share is what we talked about in the last video. This is target market share. So not yardage market share for the team. This is just the market share they had on their own team in targets, 22% and higher. Yards per target, 8.1 and higher. Success rate, 47% and higher. And then I filtered out 14 and greater so that we took away injuries, because I didn't want like Jordy Nelson being considered a bust when he tore his ACL in the preseason. Like, that just didn't seem fair to me in the model. So this is what it gave us. And remember, it's not any one of these stats that's like a higher predictor. It's the combination of all of these. So how good is it? Well, it's really good in not predicting bust. It does predict them sometimes. It had a 13% bust rate, but that's pretty solid when you consider there's a lot of busts in the NFL, and this one filters out a good percentage of them. So 32.5% finished top 5. I think that was the highest I could get. I ran a lot of models that were getting like 20 to 25%, and then I finally found this one that got me 32.5%. And I just couldn't get any higher. I mean, I spent another like 2 hours after I had this model just trying to improve it, but I just couldn't get a higher percentage than that. There are just certain ways. Like, I looked at all the past like 16 years of top 5 receivers, and I said, how could you have predicted this? And some of them, there was just no way of predicting it. And then there are some that they were hurt the season prior. Like Jordy Nelson last year, it couldn't be predicted in the model because he didn't play the year before. So that did happen sometimes. There are some players that it's impossible to predict because we don't have data the year before, and I can't use like a 2-year prior data. I wish I could. I wish I could be like also filter through 2 years prior, 3 years prior, but I just can't do that. But then 60% finished as wide receiver 1s, 87% finished as wide receiver 2s. Again, this is the highest I could do. Who does it give us? Pretty solid list this year. Certain years it would give like 4 or 5 players. Certain years it would give 10 to 12 players. This was kind of an average, 7 players. And I'm not going to go over the obvious ones. You guys obviously know if Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, and Odell weren't on this list, then I probably should revise the model. I mean, they have the best chance of finishing as a top 5 receiver. They should be on the list. And I didn't like look at the who should be on it and then put some stats to go with it. I mean, I looked at the list after I built all these models because I wanted the highest predictor. I didn't want to just filter it through players I liked. But we are going to talk about a few of them. Jordy Nelson and T.Y., I'm not really going to talk about. You should know that they're going to be on this list. One thing to note is that Jordy Nelson, this was his last year he can make the list. He's 32 this year, which is the cutoff for age. And then T.Y., I mean, you guys know. Like, you guys know Brown, Julio, Odell, Jordy, T.Y. They should be on these lists. It's the 4 on the right that I'm going to talk about a little bit more because they seem to be going further in drafts, and there might be different points that people are making for and against them, and I just want to go over my takes on them and why they are on this list. So we'll start off with Doug Baldwin, and according to Pro Football Focus, 4th highest wide receiver rating last year. He had the 4th highest catch rate out of the slot, 11th lowest drop rate in the league, and you just look at what he is to this team. He's the clear number 1. Jimmy Graham's going to be used in the red zone. He's going to be used between the 20s. He's going to be used all over the field. But other than Jimmy Graham, and I guess Procise had the backfield, maybe Procise is lined up as a wide receiver sometimes, he's the one. Now, he doesn't run the number 1 routes. He's not a left wide receiver. He's not a right wide receiver. He's a slot guy. But he's the number 1 option. And why I don't think Procise is going to take a ton of targets, he's going to take targets, but why I don't think he's going to take a ton is that you would line Procise up in the slot. So yes, you could run 2 slot wide receivers. You could just run 3 wide on one side and then have the tight end on the left. But I just think Doug Baldwin is so unbelievably safe that even if he has a down year, he's going to finish as a mid-2, which where you're getting him isn't even that bad. I mean, you're getting him late 2nd, early 3rd round at this point. So I just think he's a great pick. I think he's a great fit for this list. A player that you can trust drafting. You know he's not going to bust, and he's got top 5 upside. The next player is another controversial player, and it's Amari Cooper. Now, people who are against him say, hey, I can just grab Crabtree a little bit later. Now, this is a PPR model. I did not do it for standard because I just don't like standard leagues. I think there's way too much luck involved. I think once you start putting touchdowns in the projection system, it's not something you should be doing because touchdowns are so fluky. And he gets a bad rap for touchdowns, and I don't think people realize, like, okay, he was 21, and then he got 6 touchdowns. And then he was 22, and he got 5 touchdowns. And he put on weight this offseason. He's only 23 years old. Like, people need to wrap their head around the fact that he's not going to come out at age 21 and grab 12 touchdowns. Like, there's just not... yes, you can, but it's just not him. Like, Amari Cooper is not a super high red zone threat, so we shouldn't have been projecting him for a lot of touchdowns. People say, well, that's a knock on him because Crabtree's better in the red zone. Okay, but if he grabs 7 touchdowns and he gets 90 receptions for 1,200 yards, he's gonna have top 5 upside because he's gonna be in the league leaders in receptions, I believe, this year. I mean, 72 as a rookie, 82 this year. I'm thinking he's gonna be in that like 80 to 100 range. He's gonna be around 12 to 1,300 yards. He's gonna grab some touchdowns. I said he put on weight, and honestly, Crabtree's good, but like, he led the league in drops, first of all. And like, it's not like he's that prolific of an athlete. I mean, go type in his profile on playerprofiler.com. It's not that great. Then you type in Amari Cooper, and like, he's a far superior athlete. So I think that the gap being so small, and if you played daily fantasy, I know I played Crabtree like every single week if I was playing one of the two over Cooper, even when he was more expensive because of the touchdowns. But I don't think the gap's going to be as small as it was this year. I think the talent level for Cooper is so much greater that he's going to surpass him by a larger margin this year in fantasy. So I like him on this list, absolutely. I think he's got top 5 upside. Does he hit it? Maybe not, but I think he can be a wide receiver 1, especially in PPR leagues. Another guy I love in PPR leagues who I won't even be contemplating in standard scoring leagues is Jarvis Landry. I mean, he led the league in targets out of the slot. He is a slot receiver. He is the Julian Edelman. He is a Doug Baldwin. He is a Jamison Crowder. Like, they are slot receivers. So the emergence of Devonta Parker, the potential emergence of Devonta Parker this year, I don't think hurts him as much as people think. It's going to draw coverage away, and it's not like he's going to get any less snaps. I mean, Parker's going to be the one, and Landry's going to play out of the slot. Like, it's not going to take any snaps away from him. Could he take some targets? Maybe his market share goes down. Maybe. But maybe he draws coverage, and his percentage of catchable balls goes up. I mean, it's an entirely possible situation that the emergence of Devonta Parker helps him out. 3rd in slot target percentage, 2nd in yards per route run out of the slot. One issue I have is contract extension. If they don't give him a contract extension, he said that he's not going to sign one during the year, and that concerns me because why aren't they giving it to him if he's been so good? I mean, he's really young as well. He's been one of the best slot receivers over the past couple of years. Like, why aren't they giving him a contract extension? So if they give him one before the season starts, I keep him where I have him in the rankings. If they don't, I probably move him down a little bit, but not a lot, because I still think he's a really good wide receiver. Slot receivers are so valuable in this league, especially in PPR leagues, that I think he's going to be a great option for your fantasy team. All right, let's get to the head scratcher. The guy you guys probably did not think was going to be on this list. I had no idea that he was going to be on this list. Rishard Matthews. Now, the situation changes, obviously. They drafted a wide receiver really high in Corey Davis. They brought over Eric Decker. He's going to take red zone targets away. I think there was natural regression coming in the red zone department for Matthews anyways. So now you add one of the best red zone targets over the past few years. You add a young rookie wide receiver that they really want to develop. And it gets a situation that's a little bit like kind of in a void. But that also tanked his draft value. So now you're getting him really late. 8th most yards per route run. 4th lowest drop rate in the league. 0 drops on deep balls. Now this is interesting because he was 6th in yards on deep passes. 0 drops. Only Brandon Cooks and Antonio Brown were better. So he's a really good deep threat. He's on a team that loves to run the ball, so they can get deep shots. I mean, when you've got DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry pounding the rock behind a top 5 offensive line for run blocking, teams are going to have to cheat up. And if they can get really good at that with a mobile quarterback, I'm not going to call Mariota a guy that scrambles a ton because he hasn't really, but he's mobile, so he can get away and he can force people to respect his legs. When you have all of that combined with a really good deep threat, and the fact that Davis isn't just going to come out and be like an amazing wide receiver to start the year, I don't think it's a bad pick. Especially where he's not going as early as he once was. He's going a lot later now, so if you can grab him in the very end of your draft, I'm fine with it. I wasn't before looking at this, but I mean, this makes me think a Decker injury and a Corey Davis slowly developing, and he's fine. Like, he's a good wide receiver to have, especially that late where maybe there aren't that many options. Better in standard. I will say that. because he's never going to be a guy that's going to be like 90 catches. Like, there's no, unless multiple people get hurt, like Delaney Walker goes down and Decker goes down and Davis goes, like, if everyone dies around him, okay, maybe. But he's not going to be a huge reception guy, which hurts his upside. So I'm not going to say he should be a top 5. I do not think he can be a top 5 receiver with all the things that have changed. But he can be serviceable. So I'll keep him on the list, obviously, because he made the list. But I think he's a fine pick, not someone that I'm targeting. All right, now we're going to do kind of what I did in the last one and expand this list a little bit. Say some players who were close, but barely just didn't make it. So these are the people who missed in one stat, and then the stat that they missed it in, by how much. So market share was 22%, remember? So these are the guys who were close in market share, but then hit it in everything else. And then on the right are people who were close in yards per target, but hitting everything else. And I'm really not surprised with anyone on this list. Kenny Britt changed teams, so the situation's a little bit different, but I don't think it's that much different because he's going to have a terrible quarterback on a terrible team again. He's going to be the number 1, so it's not that much different. I think Kenny Britt is a fine pick late. Tyrell Williams is actually one of my favorite late picks right now, just because you think about Mike Williams, and I didn't think that he was going to come out of the gate and be like a huge target monster anyways, and now he's hurt and he doesn't have time to develop with Phillip Rivers. I think Tyrell Williams is going to be a perfectly fine option on a team that loves to pass the ball. Now, he's got a tough schedule, but you look at the rookie season comparables to Tyrell Williams, and I believe Adam Levitan tweeted this out. I might be wrong on that, but it's here. Like, it's Rob Gronkowski. Now, there's a few busts on this list. I believe there's like 4, maybe 4 busts. So I'm not going to talk about those guys. But everyone else on this list, comparable to Tyrell Williams, rookie season. Rob Gronkowski, Josh Gordon, Randy Moss, Alshon Jeffrey, Julio Jones, Allen Robinson, Andre Johnson, Mike Evans, Calvin Benjamin, Braylon Edwards, Plaxico Burress. Like, that is not a bad list to be compared to. And these are just the people right around him. Now, there was a few busts on the list, but it was like 3 or 4. I mean, he looks really good. You look at Player Profiler. He's really good. He had a really good year. He's on a team that passes a ton. Like, I don't think that them drafting Mike Williams changes much. So you're getting him in like the 12th round right now. Now, sometimes he's going a little bit earlier than that. But if you're getting Tyrell Williams in the 12th round, that is a steal. So he barely missed 1% on market share. He would have been on here. Same 2% on market share, Devonta Adams. I think that if Jordy goes down, Adams, I don't think that, like, Jordy going down makes Adams a top 5 receiver. I'll say that. I'll say if you're a Devonta Adams owner, you should probably hope that Jordy stays out there so that he can take advantage of twos, because I don't think he's a fantastic wide receiver. So if he's matched up on number 1 corners, I do not think that he can win those battles. I think he needs Jordy Nelson. So I'm not going to say he has top 5 upside this year. Like, he's a fine pick, just not one that I seem to be making that much. Pierre Garçon and Diggs missed by 3% market share. You guys know I'm super high on Diggs. Go watch some videos on that, on my take on him, because I think he's a fantastic pick this year, and he's got one of the softest wide receiver schedules out of the slot. And of course, Diggs is a slot receiver. And Pierre Garçon just going to be a target monster as long as he can stay healthy. The touchdowns probably won't be there, which is why I don't really think he can be a top 5 receiver, even if everything breaks right. But a great pick in PPR leagues as well. I love him, Diggs, Crowder, Snead, all those guys in those middle rounds. Michael Thomas obviously is a stud this year. He missed because of the target share, but then Cooks is gone, so he's probably going to hit on target share this year. Golden Tate missed by 0.1 yards per target. I think Tate is also a fantastic pick in PPR leagues. Again, gets a dock in standard leagues because of the touchdown upside. Mike Evans missed by a few yards per target, and Terrell Pryor did as well. Obviously, Mike Evans is a fantastic pick. I think the yards per target is actually going to increase this year, so maybe next year he'll be on this list, because I think that Deshaun Jackson increases his quality of targets, because Winston isn't just going to be peppering him with these random targets that, I mean, he's not going to throw to the other scrubs that were on the team last year. So now he's got Deshaun stretching the field deep. He's got Deshaun can take some of those targets that maybe Winston's scrambling to the side and he has to chuck some to Evans. It's going to Deshaun sometimes. So I think that helps him out. Deshaun Jackson coming over there. And then Terrell Pryor, you guys know that I like his situation that he's in. Finally a red zone threat for Kirk Cousins. So I think the touchdowns improve for him. I think the yardage and receptions can at least remain the same and maybe improve a little bit more because he is, again, he's a new wide receiver. Like, he used to play quarterback. He is developing the position, and I think that he is going to have a great season. So these are the guys that were close. You guys already saw the predictions for the top 5. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it opened your eyes on some of why I like some of these players, because basically everyone on this list I liked, maybe besides Rashard Matthews, but he's not a terrible pick late. But everyone else on these lists, I mean, they were players I liked beforehand, and this basically just validates why I liked them. So that is the end of this video. Hope you did enjoy. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. But that's the end of this one, and thanks for watching.